Meet Laura, a marketing powerhouse with over 20 years of experience. 9 years ago, she took the leap into entrepreneurship, and today she is helping businesses rethink the way they connect with their audiences.
Marketing is powerful, right? It amplifies impact, really understanding consumer behavior on a deep psychological level. That's the power of branding.
And what's her secret? A blend of timeless marketing expertise and the power of AI. She shows us how to use it as a tool, mimicking your voice, your tone, your human touch, so that your brand still feels authentic and unmistakably you.
AI is just a really good first draft. And you have to not only prime, prompt, and produce it properly, but then you need to add the human back in at the other end. Otherwise, it just feels a bit energetically empty. The heart is so magnetic. Who we are is magnetic. And people who are drawn to our business are drawn to who we are as a person as well, because people buy people.
In this episode, Laura shares how she integrates AI into strategy without losing the human spark. So grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee, settle in, and let's sip and solve with Laura only on the Sip and Solve Peppermint IT podcast. Hi everyone, on today's episode of Sip and Solve podcast, we're joined by Laura Craig, the founder of Vivo Marketing, a creative strategist who helps businesses cut through the noise with marketing that's both authentic and effective. Laura is known for blending strategy with creativity, ensuring that brands not only stand out, but stay true to their essence. Welcome, Laura. It's nice to have you on the Sip and Solve.
Oh, thanks, Louise. It's really great to be here.
Excellent. And do you have a cup of tea with you?
Of course, I have a cup of tea. I am drinking raspberry and strawberry today.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Oh, damn.
Excellent. So, Laura, I would like to know a little bit about why you love marketing so much.
Oh, wow. This is a great place to start. So, when I was younger, I wanted to be an interior designer. And my dad was like, "You're too smart for that. Go to uni. And if you want to be an interior designer later in life, then okay, no problem."
That's funny. I wanted to be an interior designer before.
Amazing. It's a creativity part of us, right? That comes out and, just likes beautiful spaces, likes lovely environments, likes color. Yeah. So I went to uni and I did arts commerce, and I majored in marketing in commerce, and I majored in psychology in arts. And I love everything psychology based. And I guess marketing is really understanding consumer behavior on a deep psychological level, right? So it's blending creativity and business, and also it's really just reading and experiencing humans and adding value to humans and amplifying their impact. So we now work with either good humans or humans doing good. And because marketing is powerful, right? It amplifies impact. So you're either amplifying something, that's not as desirable in the world, like when I was, in my previous career, but or you're amplifying something beautiful and good and helping people get their word out, right? So, I think that's how I ended up in marketing, and I love it because essentially what I do is I sit and I read my clients, I read their brain, I read their body language, I see exactly where they want their brand to go, and I pull it all out of them and build marketing around them that amplifies them.
Yeah, amazing. And I guess we're going to talk a little bit today about AI and how that's changed marketing. I want to get to that in a second, but I like how you talk about the human element of marketing and understanding people. And so I guess the theme of what we're going to be talking about is how you can make AI personal as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I talk about, we've done quite a lot of AI marketing events like the AI Marketing Summit. We run a program called AI Powered Marketer, and we're always talking about how AI is just a really good first draft, right? And you have to not only prime, prompt and produce it properly. But then you need to add the human back in at the other end. Otherwise, it just feels a bit energetically empty. And I use the example of, if you had a plastic kind of arrangement of roses in front of you, and then you had a vase of real roses. What is the difference? How does it make you feel? How does it smell? How does it sort of behave? And I think that's the difference between what the AI spits out. It's incredible, but it's still got that plastic feel. And then, we need to elevate it to feel live and real. And, you need to put your essence essentially back into it so it feels like you, which is the most important part of marketing, right? We can't just slap something onto a brand that doesn't fit. It needs to kind of fit and feel right the whole way along. And from when somebody first comes into their experience with a brand all the way through to execution and delivery, right? So the marketing needs to feel seamless all the way through. And that's why it really is an expression of who you are as a business or a business owner.
So I have a question for you. Our last podcast we did with Pete Solway, a salesperson, and one of the points that he made was that he thinks you can start a business without marketing. Sales is the most important thing you need to do first, because you can go and sell, and then and I want your opinion on that, because I did it the other way around. I absolutely did marketing first before I did sales, because I feel like, for me, I felt like if I don't have my message right, if I don't understand who I am and what it is that I want to do, and understand what problems I'm trying to solve for people, how can I sell that unless I'm really, really clear on that picture? So for me, getting the logo and the branding and the website, that was really important for me to get all of that right first. And I do understand his perspective as well, but I'm interested to hear what you think about that. Is it a personality thing? Does it depend on what kind of business you have?
You're both not wrong, essentially, right? So what the way I look at it is I look at the life cycle of a business, and I've actually mapped the marketing, the role of marketing at different phases of growth of a business, right? So and it's mapped against the Harvard evolution of how businesses grow. So you're talking about adoption, and then startup, and then growth, and then expansion, and then maturity, right? And so in the ideation and adoption, at the very beginning phase, what the role of marketing is setup marketing, right? So the role is absolutely your messaging, your website. You need something. I mean, I know Pete actually said, you can have a crappy website. It's still a website, but I mean, look, ideally, like if you look at founders who are experienced in starting businesses, they know that getting the branding and the website looking good from the very beginning is an enormous head start. You don't have to do it, but it's an enormous head start, because your online presence is an extension of you, right? And I use the analogy of, like, would you wear tracksuit pants to a networking meeting? If you want that presence and that head start in the market, you really want to get your strategy right. Who are you targeting? Because if you just target everyone, you're essentially like talking to no one, right? Do you want to look good as a business? Because then you get that enormous head start. I mean, I've got examples of clients where they came to me and they were spending an enormous amount of money on Facebook ads, and we took them way back to lift their website and their brand presence. And then instead of putting that money into Facebook ads, they'd spent $30,000 on Facebook ads and got nothing, because they were sending them to a leaky bucket, right? Like the website was just, the messaging wasn't converting. The look of it didn't feel like they would trust it, and we elevated their brand perception in market. And then we landed Cricket Australia, because Cricket Australia felt like they were a match to the brand that was being amplified online, right? Yeah. And so I guess that's the power of branding. So and then I would say, once you've done your setup marketing, as you move into startup, the most important thing in your business is sales. and it's about how marketing supports sales. So we want to do free and low cost marketing at that point, right? Yeah. So yes, you need it. And I always say, right, when Rob, who you just sent to me, right? I said to him, how did you find me? And, he was like, well, Louise told me about you, but then I looked at your website and then I looked at your LinkedIn. And he decided from those two things that actually I was someone he wanted to do business with. So even if you get referred into someone or they have a great sales experience with you out in a networking meeting, for instance, they're going to check you out online. It's just the world we live in now, right? And so how do you want to show up online? Do you want to show up in the same way you'd show up at a networking meeting, like all, looking good, feeling great, and helping people as much as you can? Or do you want to show up in a way that probably doesn't amplify your value?
Yeah. I think that
then as we move into growth marketing, we're talking about lots of budget in marketing, and that's where marketing often takes over from sales, or if you're in B2B, it supports sales in a bigger way. So that's kind of how it evolves. Yeah.
I feel, because my next part of that is the difference between sales and marketing, where marketing is kind of, somebody explained this really well, and I don't know if I can remember and say it back properly, but marketing is really, you're doing something really great over here and people look at it and go, oh, I really like that, I want some of that. Whereas sales is more like, I've got a product here, like it's kind of in your face, I'm trying to give you this. And I quite like the idea of being more influential in the background, like just doing your thing and just being really good at it, and people going, oh wow, they're really good at that, rather than trying to push a product that somebody may not necessarily. So I sit personally, the marketing side of business feels like it's a better fit for me than sales. And I guess there's just that kind of connotation about sales, because we all feel like we've been sold something in the past that we don't really want, that you kind of buy it because it's got good advertising or whatever. And so I wonder if it is a little bit personality based on whether you're I don't know, like I even think on the how on the netball court you have like defenses and attack players, and defenses are all like running around defending and getting the ball, and attack players are just like making the play, like they're just doing their thing. Like there's just it's just different personalities and different skills that people have, that potentially one is better than the other. But clearly you need both on a team to make a team win, right?
Yeah, look, I mean, to be honest, I think that there's not an enormous sort of separation between sales and marketing, because in B2B, marketing supports sales in an enormous way, right? Even if you're not spending a huge budget on marketing, marketing is the one that puts the sales deck together. Marketing makes that sales deck look good, the proposals that you're sending out. Marketing is the one that posts on LinkedIn, so that when the person looks at what you've done and who you are, they're like, oh, I feel like this person's credible, I trust them. Marketing is the one that sort of writes the copy that is in the sales presenter that helps the salesperson close, because they've crafted a story based on challenges, needs, desires, wants. And marketing also might give a salesperson something of value to use to reach out to somebody, like a blog or a downloadable or a gift. Or I know, as you're doing, Louise, like marketing might create the little boxes that sales uses to go out and, surprise and delight people so that they open the door to a sales call. So, I think that they're pretty synonymous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think one is more important than the other. I think you need both in your business. And attraction-based marketing. So that's kind of what you're talking about, of like, you're over here. Attraction is very powerful. But then obviously you need to go and close them for them to become a sale, right? Yeah. So,
Cool. So how then so you've been in marketing for a while. What's your history? When did you start in marketing, and what's a very brief outline of your...
Very brief. I'll do a super speedy. So I've been in marketing for 19 years now, 10 years in corporate marketing. I started at Unilever, launched Ben and Jerry's, worked in Dove, worked in hot tea, then moved to L'Oreal, worked in hair care, moved to CB, worked in, actually managed the third biggest beer brand there with a $9 million budget. And then decided I wanted to start my business, Vivo Marketing, 9 years ago now. So quite a long time. And since then, I've worked with over 350 small to medium-sized businesses, helping them do more with less. So we use a range of freelancers, very high-quality freelancers, to help execute projects and pull them into projects as needed, which means they don't get the high overheads of an agency.
Yeah.
And since then, last year and a half, have been very heavily entrenched in the world of AI. So we built the AI Marketing Summit, and we had 350 people to Marvel Stadium in Melbourne and another 300 people to Park Hyatt in Sydney. And we built an AI-powered marketer program. So essentially plugged AI into everything we've been doing. And my partner, Justin Kabani, in this space is actually such a genius in AI. So we've been able to plug it in to amplify, I would say, 10x productivity from what we were doing before, and helping clients do the same.
Yeah. So that leads us into the AI discussion now, because I think that was a nice, here's where we were, and now is where. Now, I think I started working with you 3 or 4 years ago, and we had marketing sessions where you and I would just nut out word for word and I would just tell you all my ideas, and you were basically my AI. So I would just say, blah, 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 here's all my stuff, and then you would copyright it, make it amazing, and then do all the work. And we would, spend a couple of hours a week just working on what we were going to talk about and how we were going to do things in the next couple of weeks. So now when we work together, it's very different. So what is the difference for you in the way that we work, even just from a couple of years back?
Well, I mean, I was very fortunate to come into contact with Justin Kabani, who I then became business partners with a year and a half ago, back when AI kind of was launching and it was super new. And I went to a workshop of his and it blew my mind with how incredible and productive you could be with AI. And since then, I've been using it like crazy and I actually worked with him to create prompts for every part of my marketing strategy process. And then we delivered that in a session where we help people become prompt engineers as well as building a marketing strategy. And one of the most incredible things happens when you build a marketing strategy and then you re-upload that into your AI to prime it, because you've got such incredible clarity on who you are, what, who you're serving in market, what your key messages are. Your messaging strategy is very, very important. And then you're re-uploading that back into the AI to go, hey, this is a really great piece around who I am and what we do in market. And therefore it like elevates your AI like stratospherically, because it then becomes so deeply like primed, I guess, with your business, who you are, what you're doing, the way you talk, your creative messaging. And from there, like all you need to do is build kind of exceptional prompts and create different elements in your business, and it's lightning fast and it's very high quality work.
Yeah. And how then do you put the human element into that?
So you, like I said before, it's that role of AI. It's not automation. I mean, agents are getting there, like currently, like there's agent has just been added to ChatGPT 5 now, but it's still pretty glitchy and it's not kind of there. So I feel like people confuse automation and AI. AI is there to kind of amplify you and elevate you to your highest value zone. So you're never starting with a blank page. And what it means is the work is 80% done. If you've got a really, really good prompt and you know how to prompt engineer, your work is 80% done, right? And then the next 20% is about you putting your heart back in, so making sure it talks like you. Like, for instance, I would never put out a LinkedIn post without reviewing it and putting my heart back in it. Even if I change a few different things. It's pretty good what it spits out, but it doesn't have me in it yet, you know, and it's primed with who I am, absolutely, but it doesn't have my energy back in it yet. So I absolutely need to go back and make it feel like me, and then it's good to go, right? Because you know, I think that like the heart is so magnetic in us as humans, right? Who we are is magnetic, and people who are drawn to our business are drawn to who we are as a person as well, because people buy people, right? So if you're putting something out straight from an AI that has got like an M dash in it, which is a big giveaway, like, you know, that the word landscape, like there's so many really big AI tells, right? If you're putting that straight out, then you're
in this fast-paced digital world. That's the bit that I get.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Not this, but this. You know, there's a lot of AI tells. So I think putting your heart back in it is just so important.
Yeah. Okay. Talking about personality, we have a segment in our Sip and Solve podcast, which I call Biodata. And that's where I get a bit nosy about what systems you use to help you with your day-to-day work. So to start with, iPhone or Android, Apple or Android phone?
iPhone. I'm a creative. We're Apple and Google.
Yeah. Okay. So Google, Apple, so laptops, Apple as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so mail, do you use Mac Mail or do you use Google?
Yeah.
Just Gmail?
Mail. Yeah, Gmail through Mac Mail. Yeah.
Okay. And what is the most used application on your laptop?
Oh, you could probably tell me that. I would say we use ClickUp as a project management system internally, so that is enormously used. Zoom is used an enormous amount. We also use like WhatsApp and text to send each other links and things like that. So I love that Apple integrates those as apps down the bottom. PowerPoint is a really big one. Yeah. I'm a PowerPoint nut. So
yes.
What's yours?
I would say my most used app would be Outlook, because I'm pretty much in email most days. And then I would say probably
Excel. That makes sense for you. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And on my phone, I laugh about this because my partner Lewis, every time I look over at him on the lounge, he's calculating something on your phone. You know how you can ask your phone what your most used app is? His most used app is the calculator.
That's the best.
On the TV one day, some lady on the TV was like, "Oh, what apps do you use?" And then we both got it off our phone. And his was calculator, closely followed by TikTok.
Amazing. Mine would be LinkedIn and email, I think.
Yes, mine is email and Facebook. So social media, Facebook, Instagram,
LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah, I reckon LinkedIn is number one for me now, and then Instagram, and then Facebook.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think LinkedIn.
And the young'uns in my team, they would say TikTok is number one.
Yeah.
So it's actually exceptional having them in the team, because they're way better at some different platforms than we would be, because they grew up on those, you know, so they're fluent.
Awesome. Okay, so I would like to talk a little bit about framing and prompting in ChatGPT.
Amazing.
What trips do you have? Did I say trips? Tips. Trips. Am I thinking about holiday? What tips do you have?
Oh, well, we talk about priming, prompting, and producing, right? Yeah. So when you talk about framing, I guess that's like priming, right? And so the two key elements of priming are really your custom instructions and your memory. So really making sure your custom instructions lives on the bottom left-hand side in your logo.
Okay.
Part of the app, right? And then you'll see custom instructions. Make sure this is filled out. This is telling ChatGPT who you are, what you do. Like, you can link to websites, you know, who like how you want it to respond. So like, we've primed it really, really quite in quite a lot of detail around how we want it to respond and how we want it to act. A lot of people, when they see my ChatGPT, are like, how is it doing that? And I'm like, that's my custom instructions. That's my priming. So then your memory, that's something that happens in the background all the time, but if something's really important to you, you can say commit this to memory, and you can go into your memory and delete things that aren't, you don't want it to be in the memory, right? So my memory knows my blood type because I was using ChatGPT on that. It knows what what my food intolerances are. It just knows so much about me, and it we love to use the example, ask ChatGPT to write a LinkedIn profile for you and see how well it knows you. And if it writes something really detailed, like, you've done a great job. And if it writes something a bit general and a bit verbose, like it kind of, which ChatGPT loves to do, then you need to work on those two things. So we say that ChatGPT out of the box is like a drunk in a pub on a Friday night. It's very general. It makes a lot of stuff up. It's like, just because it doesn't want to do the work. It's lazy, right? Yeah. So that's priming. You can also prime your chats or your custom GPTs or your projects, and like I said, one of the best primes I've ever experienced there is uploading a marketing strategy, because that is just a game changer in the priming world. Prompting, we like to use a 6-part prompting process, right? So it starts with like your context. So like, tell ChatGPT who it is and what you want it to do. What is it an expert in? So you are a LinkedIn content writer expert GPT. You have expertise in highly converting, highly engaging thought leadership, LinkedIn posts. You want to give it that kind of context. You then want to look at the goal, the structure, the criteria, the information about your business it needs to include, and how you want it to kind of execute. So what your output looks like. Is it a table? Is it a chart? Is it so having a really rich prompt is like so unbelievably compelling. Like it actually, spending more time on a prompt actually makes your output so much more effective, detailed. I always get it to sort things. Because I don't want it to make anything up. So I'm like, tell me if you're making an assumption, things like that. So it's a really well-written prompt. And then we actually teach people how to create prompt generators as well, so that they can use the tool to actually help them create their prompts. And then producing is like, okay, what comes out the back end? That's the part where you go back and forth with the AI to, what good looks like, right? So you go back and forth with the AI to get it to a place where you really are happy with it. And it's about editing. It's about putting your energy and your essence back in, like I spoke about. It's about getting it to a place where it's actually ready to be put out. And you might use a number of other applications, other AIs, or even tools like Canva to kind of get to the final result, right? But I think using that framework, it's almost like how you would brief an agency. You would tell them a lot about your business. Otherwise, they don't even know if their ideas are going to fit, right? That's priming. You would then give them a really good brief. You wouldn't give them a one-sentence brief. You would say, this is everything I want you to do, and here's the background, here's the criteria, here's my budget, and then you could expect to have good output producing, right? Whereas if you give them a one-line background of who you are, a one-line background, which is the brief, you can't possibly expect to have a great output, right?
Yeah. Well, and I guess that's life communication in general, isn't it? You don't state what your objectives are up front. Quite likely you won't get what you want back.
Yeah.
While you're saying that, just I said to ChatGPT. Tell me about Laura from Vivo Marketing.
Oh, wow. And
then it's put 6 points in there: background and credentials, corporate roots, the lead to entrepreneurship, strategic philosophy and education, work, mentoring and impact. And it says, Laura Craig is a seasoned marketing strategist and visionary behind Vivo Marketing with over 16 years of experience planning both global corporations and small businesses. She brings a rare blend of strategic insight and grounded execution. She's worked with more than 350 brands, helping them grow with marketing and truly connects.
Amazing. That's pretty good, isn't it?
You've got corporate roots from Unilever, L'Oreal, Carton, which is what you told me already. Yeah. And then you founded Vivo in 2016, driven by a desire to lead with authenticity and heart. Through resilience and reinvention, including becoming a certified life coach. She has turned Vivo into a hub for strategy, innovation, and purpose-led marketing. And then it says you have a double marketing psychology.
Yeah.
And that you bring psychological insight into your marketing practice to forge genuine audience connection. Talks about how you coach. And so you are a respected mentor, trainer, and speaker.
Wow. Thanks, Chad. It's actually incredible. I probably just read my LinkedIn. It probably then cross-referenced that with Vivo Marketing. And I think actually in the world of AI, it almost brings us back full circle to our conversation at the beginning, right? Where even the AI is using my online sort of ecosystem to tell you who I am, and I feel like instead of people looking at your LinkedIn and your website, or maybe as well as, they might even put something into AI, and AI needs to be able to draw from somewhere online, which is the role of marketing, right?
Yeah, we were talking with Cheech Fu, who is an SEO strategist specialist, and he was talking exactly about that, about the fact that Google really is where people search, but GEO really is about what ChatGPT knows about you, and about how we can jump online and now say, I want to work with Laura. Tell me what Laura's good at. And I'm also briefing in this other agency, which one's going to be a better fit for me. And based on all of the information that you have online, people are going to get that information about you. And so it's really that you can't sit as a CEO of a business in your office anymore and just expect to go to a meeting and say, here, I'm good at this. Unless you're out there and you're on social media and you're on all of these different platforms and everybody knows you've got an online presence, you just don't stand a chance anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah, and do you know what I also say to a lot of smaller businesses is that you don't actually have to be everywhere, because it is an enormous amount of effort to be everywhere, right? But just pick one platform at least and show up there. Mine, I love LinkedIn. We've also got a presence on Instagram, but the one non-negotiable for me is LinkedIn, and I only currently am posting once a week, but that's enough for me right now, because we've got so many clients and we've got other channels as well, right? And one high quality, good post a week, I think, is much more valuable than posting 3 things that feel empty, I think that's kind of, it doesn't have to be a lot. I think some people are scared of marketing because they're like, oh my God, I have to do 3 posts over here and 2 posts over here and 4 posts over here. And then I have to do reels, and then I have to do, just start with one, and, just start with doing one really well. And then you can actually end up repurposing that content onto other platforms anyway, especially with AI. So easy now. But I think it doesn't have to be a lot to get started.
I think that's a really fantastic piece of advice for us to end on. And we've covered quite a lot in the journey, but I think that's really useful, because I think you're right. A lot of people are scared about marketing? How do I do it? How much is it going to cost me? Can I afford it? Is it something that I really need? And I think that you've given us a very clear indication that there's some ways that you can do it simply if you're a small business, and then as you grow, to expand the different ways that you talk and connect and do it with heart, which I love.
Absolutely.
Thank
you so much for having me, Louise. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always.
As always.